Okay, now we're officially recording. This is kind of like the official start of the podcast, and we're going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom here in Talking Movies. Today we have Daniel and Ian here with me, Bruno, as well. And Ian, you didn't like the movie, so tell us
Didn't like
about
it.
it. Why did you not like the movie? Let's start the discussion by hearing Ian and his thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this movie ages well. The damsel in distress is tiring. They're a cacophony of racist tropes. They're really cringe-inducing and hard to watch. What else did I say? Oh, the plot just feels very lackluster compared to Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like you're actually invested and like it's agreeable and generally easy to pick up, whereas this one um, is basically just comes down to Indy needing to find a stone, but like it doesn't explain why Kali Ma is that the like what are the bad guys?
Kalima, yeah, I think Kalima
Yeah,
is
they don't really
is
ever
the
explain
god.
what the bad guys are like doing.
Well, I think the Kalima is the god, the religion, and then they have their no, the religion is called Tuggy, I think. And
Okay.
Kalima is like the bad god, basically.
Hmm.
That's what I understood. I don't know. Am I saying it wrong, Daniel? What did you
I
think?
don't think you're saying it wrong.
I think that's about
Honestly,
it.
the movie isn't the clearest on that in its interpretation of what is it, Hinduism and Hindu
Yeah, it is.
gods.
It's anywhere from like inaccurate to like super offensive.
Yeah, I think it. I if I got it right, it's like a sect of Hinduism, right? What is that?
Well,
What
I
they say?
think
Because they say it at some point in the movie. Like they explain. I think it's a
they
sect,
do, but
right?
it's for the sake of the movie, it's basically a pseudo Hinduism. You know, in the first movie, it's like it in general, this is the movie of the three that, because the original trilogy go really heavily in using religion as a backdrop for the artifacts,
True. I
and
had never
this
thought of that. Yeah, you're right.
this is the one where they really get very loose on on using the actual religion.
You're right because the first one talks about basically a Jewish thing, right? The
Yes.
Ark, the Lost Ark, and then now in this one they talk about Hinduism, and in the
Hmm.
next one it's about Christianity.
Yeah.
So it's wow, yeah, I had never thought about that.
Yeah. It's like it is interesting. What's also interesting is like when you take them at face value, it's also like all three movies together is like, oh, they're saying everything in it is real. Well, except the Hinduism is something that is pseudo Hinduism, which is always sort of like George Lucas and Steven Spielberg didn't really do it justice, but apparently Lucas was not in his best state of mind when he produced this. He
Really?
was
Well,
yeah, he was going through a divorce.
okay. So he was mad.
Maybe. I mean, this is maybe also the darkest one. I mean, one of the historical contexts, this is one of the movies that got the MPAA to change and to add the PG-13
Really?
rating.
You're a wealth of information, then.
Well, these three movies, the Indiana Jones movies, I may have watched some of the most amount. I have friends I grew up with who, like, when we were in college and we just needed something to do on a night, we would just put them in while we were doing other stuff. And
How many times would you say?
I, not as much as Star Wars movies or Mad Max movies, but almost as much.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've watched them probably 5 times, which is a lot as well, but probably not as many as you.
I would add another trope in this that I don't think ages well, but it was a big thing at the time, is the child sidekick.
Oh yeah. Uh, what Shorty Round?
Short
Uh,
round, yeah.
Short
Short
Round.
round, yeah, and but he calls him Shorty as well, so
Yeah.
you kind of mix the two, which is good.
That was
Shorty round.
But yeah, the 80s and early 90s were really big on the child sidekick.
Really, what other examples are there?
Oof. Uh,
I think you're right. I'm just trying to think of specific examples.
I mean, The Last Action Hero
Oh, The Last Action Here. That's a great
might
one.
have actually
Yeah.
been spoofing that, if I think about it right. Well, that might be a movie for us to go back to because that movie
Oh,
has
I love
is
that
more,
movie.
but like,
Um,
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
this is
you're
also
right. I think you're right. I'm having trouble remembering specific examples.
well, that's like the child sidekick thing really fell out of favor after a while because, like, you're putting a kid in a lot of danger for for this adventure, and so that's another thing that doesn't quite age as well. Although it's always good to see. I mean, out of the two movies I remember with this kid, um, much prefer the Goonies. He was Data in the Goonies.
Oh,
Oh,
was he?
he's in the Goonies.
Yeah,
Wow. Man, Daniel, I'm learning so much about this movie from you.
it's
Right. He's the guy in the Goonies. It's crazy. The kid. I love
yeah,
that kid. That kid is fantastic. In Indiana
yeah.
Jones,
He
especially.
might have been the actor most dedicated to his role in this movie. I don't know if Harrison Ford particularly was that engaged in this as well in this one.
Man, I love short round. Is he in the third movie? I don't think so, right?
No. So
Why is he
this
not in
is
the third
well
movie?
because this is actually a prequel. This movie takes place before Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is
Does
supposed to
it?
be his first big romp
How do you
adventure.
how do you know that?
Well, that's was part of the marketing, and then if you look at the years, this one is in 1935, and Raiders is a couple years later or something.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
Another interesting fact I'm learning. I
yeah,
thought this was
well, yeah,
after.
and that's a thing that the movie doesn't make very clear.
No, I didn't know that. I've seen the movies several times. I didn't know that.
Um,
It-
so
I
like,
guess it makes sense. I don't know. Yeah. So this one is supposed to take place before Raiders of the Lost Ark.
yeah, they didn't want to do a sequel because at that time they were like, there's too many sequels, so they just wanted to do a prequel.
Hmm.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that because I was wondering, like very very briefly, I wondered about the timeline in the beginning of the movie because I think because it does say in the beginning of the movie, I think they say it's 1934. It appears on
Yeah,
screen briefly. I think it's 34, and I was wondering, well, if this was 1934, what about the first one? Because the first one they had Nazis in it.
yeah,
So
the
that's
first
why
one
the
was
timeline seemed a little bit
1936.
shaky to me. So
Yeah,
this
Raiders
actually
takes
makes
place
more
in
sense.
1936.
Okay, that would make more sense than making it in 1930 with Nazis, which
Yeah,
wouldn't quite be accurate. So this is 1934, and Raiders is 36, and the Last Crusade is what 40s,
uh,
maybe
I
maybe
think
late
38, 1938. Yeah,
late 30s. Okay. So it almost makes more sense to watch this one first if
yeah, I
if
think
we're
if
doing
you
it chronologically.
right,
Honestly, watching it, it did not feel like a prequel. It just felt like a sequel. Like if you say it comes before, that's perfectly fine. But there's nothing else in the movie that makes me feel like like it's his first adventure. It's just like, oh yeah, there's another hijinks that India's getting into to put stuff in a museum.
My
I
cat.
mean, to me, it feels like if this was a TV series,
Yeah.
that this would be a filler episode.
So you don't like Temple of Doom?
It's my
Either,
least
Daniel?
favorite of the Indiana Jones movies.
Stop it, cats. These cats are crazy.
Yanu the cat.
My cats are fighting right now. I'm doing a podcast, cats.
But yeah, I mean, the thing is that like,
So why did you not like the movie, Daniel? Or why do you like it less than the other? Do you still like it, or
I mean, I like it
not
to a
care
point
for it?
that it's still an adventure, but like looking when I rewatch it now, I'm like, wow, the screaming is nonstop.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, and that's such a disservice to have a character be the only real female character in that, and she basically just screams the whole movie.
Yeah, she's
Uh,
pretty useless. I like to play this game with any movie that has a damsel in it called How Far Can They Get in Their High Heels?
yeah,
And she definitely gets past the halfway point.
I mean, in
Trogging through the desert and rafting, doing it all in heels.
yeah, it what gets me with this is what's so different compared to Raiders is the relationship actually between her and Indy in this, where like there really feels like there's no real reason for them to even like they're not even friendly the whole movie. Like there's
Yeah.
no actual like tension between the two. It's just like this is like there's no real like reason to like them to be together.
There's
you
no
know?
reason for her to be there. Because
Right.
like she shows up at the beginning because she just happened to have the antidote in her shirt, and Indy needed the antidote, and that was it. And then she just got dragged along for the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm
And
I'm gonna I actually disagree with you guys. Like not in a bad way, obviously, because this is not that kind of movie. But I actually like it. I mean, I think it's fun. It's a fun movie. But I understand like what you guys are saying. I mean, it's actually interesting to me because I was gonna ask you because Temple of Doom is usually considered and correct. Ian just watched it for the first time, but you then, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do have the impression that most people say this is their least favorite Indiana Jones movie. I've heard that
actually, it's
before.
kind of mixed. A lot of people, this is their favorite.
Oh, this is my favorite as
Really?
well. That's what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. Yeah. So it's interesting that we have different.
I
points
think
of
some
view.
people, the
For me,
adventure
this is my
hijinks,
favorite. So I always wonder why people didn't like it. So it's interesting to talk about it.
So this movie also sports the highest amount, I think, of just nonstop action
Mhm.
and set
There's a lot of
pieces
action,
and very
yeah.
creative ones that even today, like, there's no way that like the freaking like trolley scenes.
Oh, the
Well,
minecart! I'm
yeah,
a huge fan of minecart levels. Like
Yeah.
Donkey Kong Country, bring it on.
Yeah,
Right.
I wanted to talk about that as well with you guys because you guys like video games like me, and that's so clearly like that must have inspired all those video game levels.
Right.
It
and
actually made me
all-
want to write an essay about like the origins of like the minecart, like riding a minecart for action and adventure.
I think it might have started with this movie.
I mean, yeah, this was movie
I
was
would
in
have to.
1984, and like, those scenes, like you get to those scenes, you're just like, this is awesome. It's all practical too. Like,
Yeah.
That's why I love the movie. You know, like it's so much fun. I love all of the Indiana Jones movies except the fourth one, which
Yeah.
I'm
Well, we won't talk about the fourth one.
we might do a podcast just to say how bad that one is, and that
The
one
only thing I know about is
I'll
that
definitely
Indy
join
survives
the
a
hate
nuclear
train for
blast
that
by
one.
hiding in a refrigerator. Is that
Oh yeah,
accurate?
yeah. No,
The
there's
fourth-
a reason why.
the
There's a
fourth
reason
one
why
is-
nuking the fridge is in the popular culture at this.
It's like jumping the shark.
Yeah,
Perfect.
The fourth one was a misfire, but
and that's not even the worst part of that movie, but we won't get into that.
man, I just have to like the worst part of that movie that I can remember is just Shia LaBeouf as the new Indy. That is a very bad choice.
Well, yeah,
That,
I won't get into it. It's
yeah, we'll do a whole podcast, and I
We'll
have
do it.
nothing against Shia LaBeouf, by the way. It's just that I don't like Indiana Jones 4.
yeah, it's not good.
It's definitely the weakest.
But yeah, no,
But I
of
do
the
like
so-
this one. I do like this one, and the action is definitely part of why I like it because I just think it's fun like from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, I think the action set pieces, like if you imagine watching this stuff in the big screen, like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
the motion that people were put through in this, like this definitely like it enthralled people in theaters. When I watched
yeah.
it here, I did my best to try to like get a good view of it, and like the dips, the moves. I mean, on the raft when they're getting out of the plane,
Like half of the movie is kind of like a theme park ride.
right? And it's almost like they had these ideas for all these adventures, and they didn't have a plot to put it to, and so
But they just put everything together, and
right.
well, it worked for me, for the kind of movie
Right.
it is.
It kind of felt like a J.J. Abrams movie to me, which is kind of, which is in reverse because Abrams has tried to be the new Spielberg in many ways, but this is sort of the same deal where it's like Instead of characterization, every scene is just meant to move the plot from point A to point B. And movies that are built like that can be really fun, you know, but they can be very light on anything that's like character related. And, you know, there's really like no characterization in this, no plot, no actual like
Yeah,
character.
this is
Really,
definitely not like a deep movie. You know, this is
nah.
not the movie that you watch to do a deep discussion. But
Like remember,
I do like
so
the movie. I think it's a very fun movie, and
so
it's
I didn't watch Raiders with you guys, but take every scene you had with Marion and Indiana Jones in Raiders, where like they're back and forth. Like there is a very clear growth of in depth of their character relationship as it goes
Right.
throughout the movie. I mean, yeah, she gets caught a lot. You know, that's part of that movie, unfortunately, where she gets caught like what 4 times in that movie.
Ian commented about that in the podcast. I had never thought about it. Ian is a lot more thoughtful about those things, but he commented on it, and someone got really angry in the comments, and they wrote us like a hate comment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Nice.
it was a woman actually. She thought that Ian was being misogynistic. I think he was doing the opposite. I think he was actually saying how he was doing exactly the opposite. I think, but she interpreted it that way.
Well, I think it just goes to I think those kind of points is more go towards Lucas and Spielberg. Not they for a long time they didn't at least Lucas especially, but like for a long time it is kind of crazy when you think that like for as much effort as Lucas put into Princess Leia actually being even when she was captured in Star Wars, like she still like she directed traffic once they were escaping and she really, you know, push things forward.
Right. She's an
That
important character and
yeah.
she's like meaningful. Whereas what was the name of this character?
In this one,
Willie?
I think
Willie,
it's
yeah.
Willie. Yeah.
Yeah, Willie just serves like absolutely no purpose.
But then she marries Spielberg, the actress.
Does she?
Yeah, that's Spielberg's wife.
Ah,
No way.
They married
that,
like 4 years later or something.
that must really be unfortunate for Mr. Spielberg.
Well, I think that
He
explains a lot of things. You know, it explains why she got the part. No, I'm being mean. Sorry.
he has come back in later years and said that that character within the movie is one of his bigger disappointments.
Yeah, I would say so.
I
He should
think
do what he did in E.T. and just replace her with a walkie-talkie.
Oh, take the guns away and
Yeah.
there was like wasn't that a whole series of South Park where they did that to Indiana
Yep.
Jones?
Yeah.
I actually like her. She might be a bad character, but I find the movie fun. You know, I like the scene with the elephant. These scenes are very dumb, but I just find them funny. You know, they're lighthearted with the elephant. You know, and she's doing like the whole thing with the elephant, and then she thinks the snake is the elephant, and then
So all of those, I think all those moments were put in because without them, this would be a very glum movie.
yeah,
Like
this
it's
is
a very
like,
dark
darker
movie.
Indiana Jones.
And so she and Short Round have to be in the movie, unfortunately, for
Round.
their efforts at levity. Because otherwise, like, man, it's like when it is while it's a romping adventure and there's a lot of action,
It's a dark adventure.
but like they need to cut to moments with each of these two often because one, Indiana Jones himself is just grim this whole time. I wonder if Harrison Ford liked this role as much.
I don't
He
think
might
he
have,
liked the script.
yeah. I mean, he's famously was not too happy about the fact that he thought he should have died in Empire Strikes Back, Han Solo, and he hasn't been the biggest fan of reprising characters before.
Right.
So there might have been that rolled into there as well. But yeah, like I said, I think oh man, I feel bad I don't remember his name, but the Short Round, the kid, I felt like he was the
Short Round sounds like a cut of beef.
he was the one who I feel I put the most effort into his role.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think like as a child actor, you know, he was excited and spunky,
Yeah.
and I think the character was written rather problematically, but I think I think he did a good job doing the job.
Yeah, especially just, you know, Yeah. I mean, there's so much about it that's problematic.
But yeah, but I do think he's like a cool character. Do you guys not think that he's a cool character? I just thought, yeah, I mean, yeah, if we're gonna talk about the problems, yeah, I mean, yeah, there might be some problems, but I think the difference between you guys and me is that I actually found the movie like a lot of fun, you know,
Mhm.
and that's a completely like subjective thing.
The
Uh,
action set pieces are fantastic. Like
yeah,
it's like
Totally.
I think it's very, you know, it's very
The
much a
special
fun
effects are
movie to
great.
watch.
It like the hijink scenes are very fun. I absolutely think this movie, would have done much better in theaters just
yeah.
to experience it.
Yeah, no, I mean this movie
Like this
I
movie in like 3D IMAX in
mm,
like the 80s, that
Oh
would have been
man,
sick.
this movie in IMAX would be fantastic.
I mean this is I think in Disney World there is the Disney or Universal that has the big Indiana Jones ride. But yeah, it's a mine cart, you know. There's a
It
reason for that.
Yeah, I went to Disneyland in Paris when I was 10, I think, with my parents, my family, and man, I remember going Indiana Jones ride, and I didn't want to, but they forced me
Yeah.
because they couldn't go in it otherwise. And I remember
It,
that kind of traumatized me. I'm traumatized to this day because I'm afraid of heights. So
Yeah.
the roller coaster, I mean, that was like one of the traumatic moments of my childhood.
Well, again, they
Going
changed
in
the
this,
rating system because of this movie. Because who's like, did you really want to take like a little kid to see some of these scenes? The guy pulling the heart out, the
I love. I
alligators.
yeah, the
actually, I
human
actually,
sacrifice.
I actually loved the movie as a kid. I just didn't like the ride. The ride terrified me, but the movie, but I didn't really care about ratings as a kid. I mean, I think the grown-ups care about the ratings, but not the kids.
Man, I
Like,
mean, the U.S. is kind of arbitrary with them anyway. My mom used to always laugh at it because she grew up living. I mean, she went to school in France, and like people, everybody goes to the movies.
yeah, I mean, I didn't really care about the ratings. I wanted to watch grown-up movies anyways. Not that
Yeah,
Indiana Jones was a grown-up movie.
Temple of Doom is a little more.
A little more, but still, I mean, you do have Short Round and you do have the girl Lily that, like you said, and I think that's an excellent point. I think it brings a balance to the movie. Like I don't watch Temple of Doom and think of it as a dark movie, but it would definitely be a dark movie without those two. But I think they do a great job balancing things out
Yeah,
because you do have a lot of comedy. It reminded me a lot and but this is I mean, you can say this, and I think we have said this about any Indiana Jones movie. It was definitely the template for the video games that we have today, like Tomb Raider and Uncharted. In particular, this one reminded me of Uncharted because like the set of the cast, the set of characters that they have. You do have like the main guy, which is very much, Nathan Drake is very much an Indiana Jones type, but then you have the fun characters as well, that add comedy to it, and like you said, then like they make things a little bit lighter,
yeah.
in
Tomb Raider is a lot like that as well.
Tomb Raider as well. Yeah, I guess Uncharted. Yeah, who are the fun characters in Tomb Raider?
I mean,
Uh,
Tomb Raider has mostly just been about Lara Croft
yeah,
in every
Yeah,
iteration.
Uncharted, the supporting characters are a lot stronger, and they bring out a lot more comedy, just like in the Indiana Jones movie.
and
Hmm.
I just more think Tomb Raider because I think it was before Uncharted, and it kind of had the same aspect of go find the artifact,
Oh no,
blow
for
up.
sure, for sure. I just meant like in terms of the side
Yeah,
characters bringing out like some comedy. But yeah, I mean, Tomb Raiders. I think Tomb Raider was actually basically they wanted to make Indiana Jones. They couldn't get the license, so they made Indiana Jones. Except instead of being American, she's British, and instead of being a man, she's a woman. But
yeah.
it's an Indiana. It was basically an Indiana Jones game without being licensed. I think that's what it was. I think
There's
that.
a lot of that. I think
Yeah, I mean, especially in video games, because they couldn't get the licenses. I mean, Contra, for example, was pretty much a Rambo game,
Yep.
and so on and so forth.
I mean, and Metal Gear took a lot from Escape from New York.
Yeah, for sure. That might have been the big influence there.
Yeah. Well, I think Solid Snake and Snake Plissken are very clearly the same
Oh
person.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's so there you go. Another example. Yeah, very
Yeah.
clearly. So which is awesome because then they develop into their own thing. That's it's cool that video games couldn't get those licenses because instead they develop original franchises, which are in some cases better. I mean, Metal Gear. I love the Kurt Russell movies actually, but I think those are very cool B movies from the 80s. We should do those movies in this podcast. I think Ian, have you seen those? I think you love
Which
them.
movies?
The
Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little,
I've seen Big Trouble in Little China.
which is
You've
a
seen that
movie
one?
that there's a lot to talk about there too. It's
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in several years, but I do remember watching it.
See, Big
Yeah.
Trouble in Little
We got to
China
do that
is
one as well.
Big Trouble. Big. I feel if we ever get to it, that movie does well what Temple of Doom does not.
So it builds character.
Well, and it
The
also
Chinese stuff, you mean?
and how it deals with the funny thing about that movie I always come back to is the fact that that movie, if you were to, I might have said this last time too, if you were to ask who the main character is, everybody thinks that the protagonist was supposed to be Kurt Russell, but no, it's not. He's the bumbly sidekick who thinks he's the main character.
Who's the main character?
His friend, the one he's trying to save the girl, the one who's trying to save his girlfriend.
Not in that movie, though.
Yeah, he's the action hero. He's the one who wins all the fights. He's the one who's driving. It's his girlfriend they're after. Kurt Russell is just the bumbling sidekick.
I don't think Kurt Russell's.
But then we're
I
gonna
think
rewatch.
maybe that was the original idea.
No, actually, the original they pitched it as it's a Kurt Russell movie, and then John Carpenter basically wrote a movie where he's just like.
But Kurt Russell definitely has more screen time than the other guy, doesn't he?
We should watch it then.
We should watch it. Let's watch it. That's a movie that we should watch.
Yeah. But onto this one, like I think, as Ian you put it, it's like it just doesn't. To me, it doesn't age as well. I think I liked it more as a kid, but obviously as a kid, I didn't realize some of the things where I would go oof, like when that happens,
Right.
and that happened quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of the things that had me reeling back were, I mean, like I said, with like a lot of the racist tropes, like when they're eating food, like everything they eat is just absolutely disgusting. Like they're cutting open the snake and eating smaller snakes out of it, and
Yeah.
like eating like
Yeah.
bugs and eyeballs.
I think we got to watch this movie again, but we got to be together and we got to be drunk. And I think you're gonna love it.
Well, you could
Temple
probably
of
make, you
Doom.
could
I was
probably just
already
make a
drunk when I watched this movie.
Were
you could
you?
probably make a drinking game over like, oh, that's offensive.
Anytime, what's her face screams, you take a shot.
Yeah. Well,
Dude, we won't-
exactly.
We'll
That'll be-
sleep the
that'll
whole
be-
next day after that.
that will be one. That will be very fun. Let's do that. Whenever she screams, we take a shot. That's gonna be. We're gonna love the movie. I already love the movie, but I think you're gonna love the movie.
Like I said, I think there's some aspects of this that are better than the other movies. The action scenes, the set pieces, like they clearly had a lot of imagination they put into that. They just didn't string it. They didn't have a good editor's eye to the actual plot.
Well, in terms of the action scenes, I think this was like the cream of the crop when it came out, because
Yeah.
this was basically we're talking about George Lucas and Steven Spielberg putting their collective talent, into this movie, and they did that with all three Indiana Jones movies. That's why they're so good. I mean, from a technical perspective, because I mean, this was really basically the two powerhouses in Hollywood trying to make an action movie.
Yeah.
In all three cases, maybe not the fourth one because it was shit, but I don't know. I don't know about.
Well,
I don't
we've
know.
only now finally gotten technology that can move us away from the green screen. So that became their obsession there for a while.
I mean, even so, I think there's still a lot to be said about watching like a
Oh yeah,
classic era movie that had like on-set effects, like
it
where
still looks good. Like
It
you
yeah,
know,
it still looks good.
It looks
on a new
fantastic.
TV and everything. Like it's still like it holds up, and that's just
Yeah, I
It
would
looks a
compare it
lot
to
better
like
than pretty much any action movie from the 80s. I mean, this is still fantastic.
yeah.
so when they started moving albums, like audio albums, to CD, one of the complaints that consumers had was it sounded too clean and they weren't used to like a digital sound. So a lot of albums that came out right when they started transitioning to compact disc, they would add in static effects and like popping and scratching, like at a very subliminal level to help round that out. And I feel like there's a similar nostalgia to seeing special effects now in an age where everything is so digital. It's kind of like the vinyl of a movie.
Yeah. Well, it looks. The thing is that our eyes believe things that have realistic shape and realistic color and realistic shine.
Hmm.
And for all the improvements that special effects have been made, have in leaps and bounds they've done, like if the sun does not if it does not shine and cast the right shadow on something, it looks off. We know it's going to look off.
Right.
That's why
Yeah.
now they have sets that are basically domes of LCDs.
Yeah, the
So
volumes.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dan. I think that's a great point. I think it's not even a conscious thing, but your brain just knows.
yeah. Certain things just like you notice it too well because the light. I mean, we're so used to the world around us and the way light bounces off everything, and as good as they get at replicating that, it's still not perfect. And that's why like sets and you know that's why you watch a Muppet movie or something where it's all just animatronics and whatever, and it's still it lives up to it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think there's like a certain amount of charm that
Yeah.
doesn't set off the uncanny valley in your brain the
Yeah.
way bad CG does.
I think one example that is very clear is the Lord of the Rings movies. Those movies don't have a lot of CG. I mean, obviously they were introducing a lot of new stuff, like Gollum, but a lot of the stuff is actually it was made by a lot of it was made. I think I might be wrong, but I don't think I am. I think a lot of it was Industrial Light and Magic,
Yeah.
wasn't it? And
Yeah.
which is the people that made Indiana Jones. Um, so and that feels very grounded. Obviously it's a fantasy world, right? So nothing is real, but it kind of feels real, right?
Well,
Like
because makeup and prosthetics, the light, it's still natural light on them.
very natural. And you look at the orcs and you kind of believe that those are real creatures that can harm you. That battle against the orcs is like gorgeous, and it's
Yeah.
so realistic as far as a fantasy battle.
Or I would give you a movie that you might not like, but
And
if
I
you
was
go
just
and
going to
watch
say,
it, it still looks.
and just to finish the thought, The Hobbit, you don't get that anymore, right? Because it's all CG, almost all.
No. And apparently, people say that the most recent remaster of it finally doesn't look as off-putting as the Hobbit movies look. But what I would say is that, in similar regards, there's a movie that is dear to me from when I grew up, and they recently made a TV series on it, The Dark Crystal, where it's all the Jim Henson creature shop with animatronics and puppetry, and like it's
Does that have David Bowie in it?
No, that's a Labyrinth,
Okay,
but that's also Jim Henson's creature shop.
gotcha.
And so,
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
yeah, those are like they're weird and goofy, but I love that kind of stuff. And
It's like The Labyrinth as well, right?
yeah, Labyrinth. If there was a sci-fi series a while back called Farscape that the Jim Henson Creature Shop did as well. They did, all the Muppet stuff. But what I would say is that like the real interest, the great thing about coming back to Temple of Doom is that like for me, I was like wondering, is this gonna look bad now after all these years? And it looked good.
It looks
And-
very good. Yeah, that's definitely something that you can notice. You
And
notice that.
so the fact that it can
Still
still
looks
stand the test of time visually, particularly those scenes. I mean, again,
Especially the scenes that like they wanted to make count.
yeah,
Like you can definitely tell that they were banking on like the action scenes being good. Like
I'm-
those are especially hold up.
I mean, it's so silly the airplane to the life raft.
It's
Oh,
very,
right.
it's very
Um,
silly. But imagine watching that in the theater.
But well, even on this, I'm like, I'm watching it. I'm just like, ooh, I got a little bit of like dip vertigo going on when it's doing that first little dive.
And you're watching Temple of Doom, and I just can't stop thinking about Uncharted.
Yeah,
Because those set pieces, that's definitely the template.
right. And so like, I remember from that scene, I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna enjoy because the first segment, I was already like having a bit of an issue with like the little dancing scene and then just the first introduction of Short Round is like, oh wait,
Don't you think there's a charm to it, though? This movie is very charming, wouldn't you say?
No, I wouldn't say this is charming in the same way um, other movies are
I
charming.
I would say Raiders and Crusade have a lot more charm to it. Now, Crusade benefits by having Sean Connery in it, and
Yeah,
he can't not have charm.
yeah, he's very good.
Um,
Except,
Ian, whenever you watch that one,
yeah, Sean
there's
Connery is
Oh,
good.
I'm sure I'll agree with you on that one. Sean Connery is a character.
well, and then Marion comes back, and Marion's a much more interesting character than Willie, and so
Really, I thought it was a different girl. So she comes back.
yeah, doesn't she? Or is it
Probably
Marion's
right.
daughter?
You
Or is
watched
it
it.
Marion's? Is
You,
it
prob-
Marion's
you
daughter?
probably watched it like 15 times. I watched it only 5, so you're probably right.
Well, no, I might. I might be.
I didn't remember that she came back, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that she doesn't come back. I just
No, I actually I think you're right. It is a different.
Yeah, it's a
It,
different one,
it is a
right?
different character. Marion comes back in Crystal Skull.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
right.
Yeah.
Never mind. My
No,
bad.
it doesn't matter. I mean, they're all similar, to be honest. They all look kind of similar.
Yeah,
They're all the same type. He has a type, Indiana Jones.
he does. But you get John Rhys Davies comes back in the other one as well, and it's just like the side characters are more. Salah, who was John Rhys Davies, and Last Crusade was also, or he's also in Raiders. So
You know what? I think they were kind of going for. I don't know if it's on purpose or not, but there's definitely an element of James Bond to it. James Bond, I think, was kind of an influence for Indiana. Not the first one, not Raiders of the Lost Ark, because that was kind of a one-off at first. I imagine. I don't know, but as they move into a serialized, I should say, like a series of movies, right? A franchise. This is like one of the first proper like super franchises, and they're definitely trying to do the James Bond thing. Each movie is an adventure. Each movie has a different girl,
yeah.
maybe a different side character, different
Except
setting,
this time,
different country.
everything is solved without actually the main character winning the day. Most oftentimes, it's a lucky thing that happens that saves the day. When you think about it, like they were saved the day by the army in this one,
Yeah,
and
Indiana Jones is famous for that.
yeah, and part of it is just like this guy just gets by on his luck. It seems, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, they open the Ark of the Covenant, and the heroes look
The
away.
face melting.
Yeah,
Classic.
Man, these movies have some iconic scenes. The face melting one, and in this case, the mine wagons.
I mean the heart, the pulling the heart out is
Pulling the heart out. That's a big one. You're right.
that just like always just like I remember that just
Monkey brain soup. Even though Ian didn't like it, I mean, everybody remembers that scene. That's one of the scenes that.
that one's just an unfortunate one to remember.
Yeah, but everybody remembers it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting to come back to it.
The
Like I
alley.
said, this is the dip in the trilogy. The third one is better. This is like Star Trek movies. Every other one is good.
Okay, so bear with us, Ian.
Yeah.
Since you and Dan seem to have a similar taste in Indiana Jones, I
Yeah,
think.
do you like Star Trek movies?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I have almost no experience with Star Trek.
That's fine.
I watched the
I'm like you.
original series with Leonard Nimoy and
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm like Ian, exactly the same. Yeah.
Well,
Like
they
that-
had a series
that
of
whole
movies, and
cast.
like the joke was always that like every even numbered Star Trek movie was good,
Mhm.
and every odd numbered one was
bad.
Yeah.
It's like Windows.
Right.
The only movies that I only watched the original series, but I did watch, I think, three. I think the three new movies, I think I watched them all. The Star Trek movies. I don't think
Yeah.
I've seen any of the old ones.
So the old movies, I mean, like I said, you could always start with the first one, but really the one everyone always talks about is two, Wrath of Khan.
But you know,
I just
I-
know Khan.
they do that in the new movie as well.
Yeah, totally unearned.
James, what's the name of the guy? Michael Fassbender. Michael, is it?
No, Benedict Cumberbatch
Oh,
played the
yeah,
new
you're right.
Khan,
You're right. Yeah,
which was also problematic. Thank you, J.J. Abrams.
yeah, you're right. Um,
Benedict Cumberbatch playing a character named Khan Noonien Singh.
what? You lost me. What?
Benedict Cumberbatch, a very white guy playing a person of ethnic origin. Like it was one of
Oh,
the
was he not? Was he not Caucasian
Khan
in
is
the
not.
original?
No, Khan was not. No.
Oh, okay, I didn't even know that because I don't really know much about Star. I watched the original series, a lot of episodes. I used to watch them, yeah, with like family, with my with my dad. I think a long time ago, but
Yeah, I
but,
remember Shatner.
I mean, I like them.
Good
I
old
like
young Shatner.
yeah, I liked Spock and Kirk and McCoy, right? And I forgot the names of the other ones. I think there was the girl as well, the Russian, right? Isn't there a Russian woman
And
or a Russian guy in Star Trek?
yeah, Anton Yelchin.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the original series is pretty cool. It's been
Yeah.
quite a while since I've watched it, but I mean, it's pretty cool. But I haven't seen the movies. Are the movies any good?
The old ones, like I said, every even number one
Oh,
is
kind of
good.
mixed bag.
Um, the most recent ones, I would say my favorite was actually the third that they made, and that was the first non-J.J. Abrams one. So that was done by James Wan, I think.
I like the series. You know, I like the original series. I wasn't like a super huge fan of the movies. 'Cause the movies were a lot of action. They had a lot of action. I feel that the series were not so much about the action. It was more about going to a different planet each episode and exploring that planet, and that's
Yeah.
what was cool about it.
I need to make a correction. Justin Lin directed my favorite of the new Star Treks, not James Wan.
Is that the Star Trek? What
Star
Beyond?
Trek Beyond, yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, they're okay. Yeah.
That was one where they finally like went to a new place, and it was all about like new first contact stuff, which was all. Anyway, we're off topic again, but
Yeah,
that's
the
what I
cool
seem to
stuff
do.
about Star Trek, but
But yeah,
yeah, it's okay. I mean, anyone that likes Indiana Jones will probably like Star Trek. So
yeah. I think the reason why we keep getting off track is because I feel like there's not too much good that we all really pretty much only agree that the action set pieces in this are great.
well, I'm a little bit more. I like the characters as well. I'm not. I'm not as. I don't see it in a way that is as critic as or as negative as you guys see it. I think. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Maybe it has some problems, but it was it was the '80s and it was kind of a fun action movie. And I mean, I like Shorty is really cool. Like I really like him as a side character. I think the relationship with Indiana Jones is a fun one. I think their scenes together, quite fun, quite enjoyable. Um, but you guys have valid points. I mean, what am I gonna say? But I do enjoy it. I do enjoy the movie. I think it's fun. And I think it has a heart. It doesn't have a great story.
In a guy's hand, it has a heart.
In a guy's hand, yeah, it has literally a heart. No, but I look, I love that last scene when when they save the kids, they go back to the village. The mothers are so happy. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Did I just like actually miss why all of these kids were enslaved?
Yeah, the kids
And-
were enslaved, and he saved
Right,
them.
I know they were, but why?
They were
They were trying to find the last two stones.
right because they needed 5 of them, right? Because they had
Yeah,
3.
to conquer the world, basically, and they were using all the kids as slave labor to find the stones. So that's what.
Okay.
Yeah, this is actually the first time that I think I actually figured that out.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
I
very
feel like
clear in the movie.
that's like a compelling enough like on paper plot if they had taken some time to like explain it and double down and make me the viewer feel invested about it.
It's very fast. Everything's very fast, so you miss a lot of stuff usually. You got to watch it several times.
Well, that's what you get in a movie where the structure is every scene, like there's no scenes. It's basically plot over scenes.
Mhm.
And this is a style of movie where there's no scenes that are meant to let the movie breathe and develop the characters and let you understand what's happening. Every scene is just meant to advance to the next plot point.
Yeah, and if you miss it, then you won't get it. 'Cause-
Right. And so, like I said, you're just missing those scenes that like are just characters sort of, building the audience's relationship with them. And so
True.
some of that is playing off of the audience's known familiarity with Indiana Jones. And so they don't feel the need to establish any of that. But you'll see when we get to Last Crusade that they get back to that. Again, it's like Spielberg himself will say that he's disappointed in a lot of in certain aspects of this.
He doesn't like this movie.
He's disappointed
He's disappointed.
how certain things turned out, particularly.
So if he's disappointed in this movie, imagine the fourth one. What does he think about the fourth one?
I'll have to look that up.
He'll
I
probably
think
watch
that's the
it.
one movie I've seen only once. I saw it once in theater, and
I've only seen it once, and it was enough. This one, I mean, it might have some flaws, but again, I think it's a fun movie.
I have the DVDs. It's one of the ones I made sure to get them when they came out, and
I might also like it because I'm a little bit biased. I think I really like action adventure. I think I really like the genre.
Yeah.
And I don't think you get that enough in movie, or you don't get that a lot. I should say, in movies. How many action adventure movies are there truly like this one? Not that many, and most of them are probably from the 80s because they were copying Indiana Jones. Like
Yeah.
the Goonies, and which is more like a kid-friendly version, and
I feel like the Goonies is so different though because that's all about characters. Like
Yeah.
every member
but-
of the Goonies is just that, a member, and like
yeah, but
they're all just like packed with charm and character.
yeah, but I think it's the same genre, and it's and you're right. But the Goonies does remind me of Indiana Jones. It's kind of a mix between Indiana Jones and what's a good kids movie? Oh, like I can't remember. Stand by Me. Yeah. So it's kind of like a silly adventure movie, but at the same time, it has like a cool cast of kids that have a pretty good chemistry between them.
River Phoenix from Stand By Me plays young Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade.
True. Yeah. Good
So
point.
that'll be something to look forward to as well. But the action adventure has sort of been a movie that we haven't gotten a lot of because for the most part they've instead tried to create different kind of spectacles. Like that's been like the new, like just the single adventure. I mean, I guess National Treasure was probably the closest in series.
Well, in the 80s they did try. They made Romancing the Stone that I think even got a sequel, and honestly, those are good movies as well. Those are fun. They're not as good as Indiana Jones, not even close. But I mean, those movies made Michael Douglas famous, basically.
Yeah, and I would say again that like National Treasure is the closest recent.
Yeah, those are a
comparison.
lot more recent. But yeah, those ones are the modern Indiana Jones movies, and I like them. They're fun.
Yeah, and so but you don't really have a lot of the.
Man, the first one is really good. The first National Treasure is a fantastic
Oh yeah,
action adventure movie.
Yeah, I mean that's one of Nick Cage's better movies.
Yeah. He's
Well, Nick Cage is another one who I would say like you just got to go every other movie or so.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's
I mean-
great, sometimes he's.
I mean, that's why people always say, like, is he a good actor or a bad actor? You
you
can't
don't
tell.
know. Nobody understands Nicolas Cage.
Not the bees.
That's part of the mystery. That's part of the allure, I think. He's a very special human.
Yeah. I mean, for a while, I would have said the same thing about Harrison Ford. I was never certain whether he was that good of an actor or just a very charming guy who got the right roles. But
I think it's the second, definitely the second.
well, I think if you look at like, what's the movie that he?
Well, I mean, he's been an actor now for several decades, but Harrison Ford wasn't really an actor. When he started acting, he was a carpenter.
Carpenter. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
But I think he's grown into it because he
yeah, of course.
definitely.
Yeah. He's been an
what was
actor
the-
for a long time now, several
It was
decades.
The Fugitive. Yeah, that's where like he really like cut more of his acting chops on. Good movie.
Yeah, awesome movie from the '90s, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
classic.
but as far as every other actor in this, the Kate Crepshaw married then Spielberg, and we haven't seen much of Shorty after.
Man, Short Round should really have been in the other movies, though. At least in
If
the
it is a prequel, yeah, this kid was like his.
he was like his best friend. They
Yeah,
were such good friends. What happened? What happened to Shorty? Now I'm bummed because
maybe they'll bring him. Maybe they'll bring him back for Indiana Jones 5.
That'd be sick.
They are still trying to make that, I think.
I think it's supposed to come out in 2022, but with COVID now, nobody knows when movies are going to come out.
Yeah, 2022.
2021 is probably going to be a shit show again for movies.
Mhm.
I mean, all of Warner Brothers movies are going to be on HBO Max same day. So
Yeah, I think 2021 is the year of streaming services just picking up blockbuster movies.
Oh, it definitely is because HBO is made like it's a major producer. Warner Brothers is one of the big ones. So
I mean, I finally get to watch the new Wonder Woman movie on Christmas now. So
that is fun, and actually, we're gonna get to do podcasts about the new movies. When they
Yeah.
come. Wonder Woman is gonna be our first one.
oh yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Well, I'm super excited for that one, the new
Yeah.
Wonder Woman movie. That we're actually gonna be able to watch it on television.
As somebody who owns a lot of Wonder Woman comics, I am still so happy that we even got one, good movie,
It's a pretty good movie, the first one.
and we,
Yeah,
I
you've
feel
seen
like-
the first one, right?
huh?
You've seen the first one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit overrated, but I think it was a pretty good movie. Pretty good movie.
I thought the first two acts were two of the best that they've done in the superhero genre.
It makes me really disappointed that the setup for the Justice League movie that they're kind of trying to do mostly looks like it sucks.
What-
Yeah,
So in Batman v Superman, there's that one scene where the Flash travels back in time
yeah,
and like you see it happening, and in the movie it makes absolutely no sense, but if you've read that comic it makes perfect sense.
yeah.
So like that sucked. Nobody liked Aquaman.
Oh, you mean like the Justice League movie sucked? Is that what you mean?
Did they release a Justice League movie or did I miss it?
They did.
Yeah, you missed it.
Oh.
They released.
Yeah, was it any good?
No,
No,
Oh, yeah, see.
unanimous.
Okay.
it was trash.
It was trash.
Like actual trash.
I mean, it was watchable, but only
Was it?
well if you're drunk.
You'd be drunk all the time, Bruno.
Well, I mean, it's not a great movie. I mean,
It's just such a
it's
shame
fair to say
because-
it's not a great movie.
because other creators have done such good jobs with DC properties on TV, between animation and live action stuff. The fact that they can't put together enough movies on that is
I think
I don't get it.
You know what? I do like the DC movies though, more than I think a lot of people are starting to like the DC movies. I think the new ones are pretty like good. But yeah, there are some shitty ones. I mean, the Justice League one is definitely a shitty one. But look, Wonder Woman is good. Joker is good.
I feel that they shouldn't have let Zack Snyder
No,
have
I
so
mean
much
that was
control over
definitely a
everything.
mistake. But I mean the whole thing, the shared universe thing, it was a mistake. I mean they should have to. Even Marvel, they took their time, and that itself, like I don't, I think Marvel is definitely going downhill. Those movies are unwatchable at this point.
Well, they should have just done what the DC does best and just have not be it shared and then just have a Flash movie that
Yeah,
brings it all
exactly.
together by combining them into one universe.
Yeah, exactly. I
I mean,
agree. That's
that's what
definitely
the
the
Flash does. He crosses universes.
that's definitely the way to go. And I think
Multiverse. That's the DC thing.
now they're catching on. Now I
Well,
think now they're going that route.
they did it on TV. They did Crisis on Infinite Earths on the TV shows.
Oh, with like Arrow.
Yeah, they did. They literally did like a week, like a 5 TV shows worth of episodes that crossing over of Crisis on Infinite Earths, full on monitor hijinks, and
It's, but I think they're doing that now, and I don't know what Wonder Woman 2 is going to be like, but it looks good. It looks pretty good. And I just hope, I don't want to see Batman in Wonder Woman. I don't want to see Superman. I want to see Wonder Woman doing her thing in her world, and the same thing goes for a Superman movie. The same thing goes for a Batman movie. It's like watching Spider-Man and you're watching an Iron Man movie. I mean, that's not fun to me. If
that
I
was my biggest disappointment with those.
if
Is
I'm
that
if
it
I'm
took
gonna watch a
away
Spider-Man movie, man, I want to watch a Spider-Man movie. I don't want to watch
it
freaking
took
Spider.
away Peter Parker's agency
Yeah,
as like a genius and everything.
yeah, he was like a little kid, following on the footsteps of his big brother, or his
Yeah,
hero. It's just silly. I mean, it's not good.
but
Yeah, I mean, I think DC definitely has territory on the television format. I think Marvel has obviously mastered the movie format,
yeah,
and vice versa. They really don't work.
I yeah, that's the mainstream opinion, but I don't even think that anymore.
well,
I
the
think
Marvel
the Marvel
movies have a
movies are
formula.
I
They
think
have
the
a
Totally.
formula
Marvel
that
movies are
yeah.
so formulaic right now that they're they're not. I mean, I'm a lot more excited for DC movie at this point.
Yeah, I want, even if honestly, even if I get something that's hot trash, I
Yeah,
want to see
exactly.
somebody. I want to see somebody actually trying to do
I
something.
agree. I agree. Yeah. Let's give
Um,
me some trash, but at least something original, right?
yeah. Hey, we got that with the Temple of Doom.
Exactly. Well, I don't know. I don't think it's trash, but you guys do. I think that Justice League, I think we can agree that
Oh yeah,
it's not
yeah.
good.
It's so bad. And then I think whatever the Snyder cut we're getting on HBO is gonna also be trash.
I think it's also going to be trash. I agree.
I'll watch it, and
I
then
think I'm a little bit puzzled why people care so much about this Justice League Zack Snyder version because
I don't know.
it's clearly going to be bad. Like, what are people expecting?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. And I liked Zack Snyder's early movies, which he didn't write, but they were
Mhm.
amazing. I mean, he's a good director. Like, graphically, in terms of the imagery, he's very good. I think he used to be a music video director,
Yeah.
and he makes pretty movies.
Well, I
Um,
mean, that was what Sucker Punch really.
yeah, Sucker Punch is it's a very pretty movie with actually very pretty girls as well. But it's, I mean,
It works much better if you're drunk though on that one too.
I mean, there's no story, or the story
Yeah.
doesn't make sense, so it's like a music video.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those movies that you can't go into expecting like a critical piece of film. Like it's a movie. I would make
I
the
don't even
distinction
know if it's a movie.
film and movie.
I don't even know if it's a movie. It's like a music video. But it's a very pretty music video.
Yeah.
But I was talking more about 300, Watchmen. I mean, those are masterpieces, and he was very good with the translating the imagery.
Well, Watchmen is a shot for shot of the comic, but I feel we can get into that another time, but
We'll probably do an episode for Watchmen. Watchmen, I can see from what you said that you're not a big fan, but I would
I
actually
love the show that they made recently, but the movie
I
itself,
haven't seen, I
I'm
haven't
a
seen the show.
I'm a little more apprehensive on.
I haven't seen the show, but I do watch. I do like the movie a lot. I think
I
Do
would
you
say
watch The
that if we're gonna
Watchmen?
do a Watchmen episode, we should be able to talk both, and we should have discussions on both.
I would definitely watch the series. I have not watched it yet.
I have not watched it yet either.
Yeah, I would highly recommend.
I also
it.
know nothing about Watchmen. I know it's
Well-
a comic, and I've never
Well,
read
so
it.
that's so
anything of
okay.
it.
Okay, so since you said that, Ian, you can't watch the show without watching the movie because the show is
So I've got to watch the movie.
Yeah,
Or
'cause the show is kind of a
or
sequel.
or
So you have to watch the movie first or read the comics.
or yeah, just read this.
Well, the comics are probably the best
Do you have
comics
a
ever made.
EPUB or a PDF?
You can probably find it, although DC still
Buy it, man.
publishes it.
It's the best comics ever made. You can buy a copy. If you have one copy of one comic, it should be Watchmen.
Yeah,
But if I could download it for
It's not the
free,
same. It's not.
it
the
is
same.
it is still kind of crazy that DC still can publish this, much to Alan Moore's chagrin.
Yeah.
His whole deal with DC was that he would do this miniseries, and then all the rights would revert to him once DC would stop printing it. And well,
Well, that's kind of the problem with the comic
oh yeah, big problem with it.
industry. Yeah, but I mean, Watchmen is an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah.
But I would go as far as saying the movie is a masterpiece as well. I mean, the movie I think is very, very faithful to the comics.
It's faithful to the story, but there is an element of the fact that you're reading a deconstruction of the comic in a comic form. And there's a reason, and so there's parts that I feel are missing from the goal of it. But we can get into that another time.
No, I think you're right, but it's still a great movie, in my opinion. I understand that it's not the opinion of everybody, but in my opinion, it's still a great movie.
But yeah, Ian. It's not a long read. It's like
Mhm.
you know,
right? I mean, it's a comic, so it looks a lot less. The thickness is less impressive than it should be.
You can probably read it in 1 hour, 2 hours. I mean, it's not 1, but 2 hours.
yeah, it's
Pretty fast.
I like it a lot, and I do feel the TV show is a great follow-up to it. So if you guys want to do that as a watch, and although I think you wanted to do a Mandalorian one as well,
Yeah, we got to do a Mandalorian one as well.
I still got to watch the latest episode.
so good. And another reason why I feel like sometimes people are discounting the TV talent that people have. Dave Filoni, I feel, has done some of the best Star Wars related stuff. Between Clone Wars and Rebels and now Mandalorian.
Well, the Mandalorian, yeah, we got to start doing it like every week. Maybe next week we'll be able to put it together.
Yeah.
You can watch the
Well,
episode.
there's only 2 more episodes in the season. We'll pretty much have to do a season wrap soon.
Oh, okay. Let's do that then. I didn't know it was only 2 more.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, it's so expensive. There's no way they can do like a 13 to 20 episode season without it costing. Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can do one
$100.
episode then. I
mean,
thought there were going to be.
It's the only reason I have Disney Plus.
yeah, we're
yeah.
gonna get the new Marvel shows. We'll see if Marvel will finally do better when they start doing the Vision, the WandaVision show, which I'm kind of excited about.
Yeah, I'm
I
using
haven't
my
heard of that one yet.
I'm using my brother-in-law's login just to watch The Mandalorian because there's nothing really on Disney Plus that I want to watch. It's just The Mandalorian. That's it.
Watch the the Star Wars cartoon TV shows. Rebels
Oh yeah, I've
in
watched all of
particular.
those.
Man,
Oh, yeah?
I can't be bothered, man. It's
I haven't watched Rebels, but the Clone Wars I watched through.
is it good?
Yeah,
It's up and down. It has
It
great-
is. It's definitely made for kids. So when 20-something men are watching it and they're upset that it's not as good as they think it could be, they're right. And also, it's not meant for them.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
very much my stance on it.
Thing is, though, I love them. I love it anyway. Same.
Oh
with
yeah,
Rebels.
totally. It's definitely like fun to watch from like a campy, cheesy, like Saturday morning cartoon vibes perspective.
Yeah. But yeah, as far as what else is on Disney Plus, yeah, you're right. It's not really. But
You
I
got
think
The
like
Simpsons.
I was
Yeah.
very excited last year when it launched, and I loved it for about 1 month. For about 1 month, I thought it was the greatest thing ever. No, I'm exaggerating, but I thought it was pretty cool. You know, I watched DuckTales for a while. I watched a couple Spider-Man cartoons, and I mean that's great. I mean you can watch
Well,
it for 1 month, and it's fantastic for 1 month.
well, that's why I'm excited we're finally getting it, some of the Marvel content. And again, this is Marvel content on stuff that I'm more excited to watch than some of the movies. Like the WandaVision again could be something really interesting because it deals with Scarlet Witch and the Vision romance that you know has some of the best comics in Marvel right
I
now.
agree. That's more exciting than any of their movies.
Right. And then I think they're also doing like a like young Hawkeye series with like Hawkeye's daughter or whatever.
Yeah, that's I have zero interest in that. But the One Division thing looks cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of those shows are going to be about not even B characters. I mean, Iron Man is a B character, but
No
when you
way. Iron Man's core.
Yeah.
no, not before the
He was core he wasn't core in the comic for a long
Yeah,
time.
exactly. Iron Man was definitely B list. Um,
Um,
like A list used to be X Men, Spider Man, and maybe that's it. Maybe Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four, yeah.
Yeah, and that was it.
The Hulk and Captain America were pretty popular too. But Captain America had a span where people were kind of like,
The Hulk, Captain
yeah.
America. I don't think was A.
Well, he basically he lost relevance for a while because I mean,
Yeah, he was an A list character in the 40s, but
yeah.
that was a long
But yeah,
time.
no, I mean they're doing so many shows. They're doing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which will be basically the Falcon trying to assume the Captain America shield role.
Yeah, but the Hawkeye is a super secondary character. He's like a D character, and then
Oh yeah,
you're
it
doing
was
a
one of the
show,
weakest parts of the Marvel movies was
right?
that they put Hawkeye in there as a Avenger when like he could have just done Ant-Man earlier.
Right.
So,
Uh,
but WandaVision at least looks different, so that's kind of cool.
oh yeah, so they're doing She-Hulk on Disney Plus.
Hell yeah.
Yes,
I'm all about Jenny.
yes, I'm
All
so
right.
excited for that. And Tatiana Maslany is going to be.
Oh, Tatiana Maslany.
Yeah,
Okay, I was not interested at all, but now I am because she's awesome.
yeah. And then Moon Knight
Orphan
with
Black,
Oscar
man.
Isaac,
She's
and
fantastic in Orphan Black.
yeah, yeah, no. So again, there's stuff to look forward to in that. At least, hopefully, Disney Plus becomes more worth it for me
But
because
there's so much stuff out there that Disney Plus is not really necessary. I mean, HBO Max alone, I mean, they have so much good stuff. And obviously Netflix, you could spend your whole life. You wouldn't be able to watch everything that they put out there.
yeah, no kidding. I mean, we're just it's we definitely have enough content to the point where I'm gonna start canceling some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessary. It's cool to watch The Mandalorian, but I don't know how Disney Plus does so well. I think it was just the brand thing.
I mean, people bought Mulan for $30 a
Hmm.
ticket, so
How
I'll
can you
watch.
how can you pay $30 for
They figure it's a
Mulan?
household. You know, if you have a household of five, two adults and two plus kids.
I guess yeah, I guess that can work in the United States during a pandemic.
You
That's
got to remember that millennials are now parents.
And Mulan was the best movie of the
1997,
yeah.
1996,
So for a
something
lot
like
of
that.
millennials growing up, that was the best movie. I mean, I
Yeah.
was just old enough that I grew up more on like Lion King and Aladdin, you know.
yeah, that's
But
definitely
Mulan came at the tail end of that, and
yeah. I mean, Mulan is yeah, it was pretty good. I mean,
I didn't watch the
if
Mulan.
we're talking about the
Yeah, I'm
Lion
not about to
King
watch that new one.
or Aladdin, I mean, come on, that's a lot
I
better.
didn't watch any of these new ones.
No, but
So
I'm not talking about the new ones. I'm talking about the old one.
Oh,
Mulan is in my top 3 Disney movies, and I'm not, after watching The Lion King, like the 2019 Lion King, I am not taking Disney's upscaling bait.
no way.
No.
I mean,
It's the one.
what's the
I'm
point of
done with
watching
it.
those movies? Come on, it's to make money. I mean, who watches
Yeah,
that?
but at least try to do something with them. I mean, you had a. I feel like Aladdin was an opportunity that they squandered so much by just trying to remake the old movie. It's like, no, there's so much you could mine there. You can make it your Pan Asian Black Panther style movie by incorporating so many cultural things into it because the story itself is a cultural melting pot because it didn't
Right.
actually exist in the original Thousand and One Nights. Um, sorry, I can talk forever on Aladdin. It's culturally important to me and my family, but it's I won't get on that right now.
I personally, I think those movies. I mean, they're the whole objective of those movies is to make money, and they make money, so they're achieving their objective. But
Yeah,
as to why people actually watch them, that's kind of a mystery to me, because there are much better animated versions of those movies. So
yeah. I mean, The Lion King is classic. I mean, it's classic ripoff on its own, but that's another story.
yeah, but the original one is fantastic.
No, I mean the original Lion King is also a ripoff, but
Ripoff of Hamlet.
Yeah.
well, Hamlet put in the skin of Kimba the White Lion. Um, if
Oh
you,
yeah, yeah. But I
um,
mean, come on. I mean, it's still great. But yeah,
right,
you're right. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong,
right.
but
I
it's a
mean, literally look up Kimba the White Lion on Pride Walk. I mean, they
yeah,
have the whole Pride Run.
definitely,
It's
yeah, it's definitely cheating. But it's Disney, so they get it. They have lawyers.
oh, they stole so
They
much.
they have a bunch of lawyers, so they can get away with that stuff. If you try to do that to Disney, then you're screwed.
Well,
Oh,
yeah, that's
Disney
why
will
like
leave you wearing a barrel.
that's why like was in college. I had a friend who got one of those nasty letters from an internet service provider because he downloaded a Disney movie
Yeah,
back in the
They'll come
day.
after you.
you don't
And
mess with
and
Disney.
that was the one company that actually like sent the internet service provider. Hey,
The mafia is probably afraid of Disney. You don't mess with them.
well, I mean, just wait until there's gonna be something at some point where Disney absorb. I mean, they already took 20th Century Fox, right? The
That's unfortunate, yeah, but they did.
Disney just secretly owns everything. Everything is owned by Disney and Halliburton.
That's why I mean it's a little bit disappointing that Disney Plus. I mean, not that I mean there are much.
cat.
Yeah, there are more important problems in the world, but I mean, I'm sure they could put out a lot more content on Disney Plus because they own so much stuff. But it's kind of bare bones.
They will soon, I think.
But yeah, so final. We can even if you guys want, we can talk a little bit more. But let's wrap up the podcast at least because
Yeah.
at this point we're not talking about Indiana Jones. I'm sure whoever wants to listen to this podcast will still enjoy the conversation on Disney and all that stuff. But
Right.
let's
You could also cut it out, cut a
Yeah.
piece of it out, and then we
Eh.
get the wrap.
whatever. It's fine. It's a good conversation. But any final remarks on Temple of Doom?
Doesn't hold up as well as I like, but still has good action.
More like Temple of Gloom.
It is pretty gloomy.
Temple of Gloom. Yeah, that's accurate. I'm still gonna go with. I thought it was a great action adventure movie, but yeah, I think you guys have some valid points for sure. Anyways, hopefully pretty soon we can do what's the next one? Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and that one I think you'll like better.
Yeah,
That one is a great Indiana
I'd
Jones.
very much agree. You'd like that one a lot better. And again, you have the addition of, unfortunately, in the recently passed Sean Connery. But
Sean Connery, yeah. Legend.
May the force be with you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for listening, and this is